About a month ago, I made a video about Restore and how they made a big splash on the British political landscape and how they were challenging the Reform Party, amongst their own voter demographic. So, challenging the status quo orthodoxy of this idea of reform being supposedly like the only viable opposition to the mainstream legacy parties, and also how they made a big splash on social media. I think there was a video made by Asmongold recently reacting to them that got a lot of traction and kudos on the interwebs recently. So I guess that means a lot, right? But little did I know that there was the upcoming local elections being held, and Restore were fielding candidates on home turf at Great Yarmouth. And these candidates rallied under the nominal Restore banner of Great Yarmouth First, funnily enough, which I think it's, by the way, it's great. It's just because it's kind of so hyper local. Like screw everywhere else. We put the great in Yarmouth, and we're going to make Great Yarmouth great again. So I think that's great. But of course, they haven't run under this banner, under this moniker purely as a kind of like esoteric Great Yarmouth supremacism. They've done this for practical and political reasons. If they win the local elections at Great Yarmouth, the political home of Restore, then this could be an important benchmark made from where Restore could then potentially expand. Tendrils of Great Yarmouth can grow out to the rest of the UK and grab other seats maybe. And who knows, perhaps have a significant sway on the general election upcoming in a few years, I think in 2029, something like that. Which if you live in the UK, that you probably attest that feels like an eternity away at this point. I mean, like, change can't come soon enough. And who knows, like, what's left of the UK by the time we get to that point. Just to get away from that kind of pessimistic dystopian tangent, is that this gives Restore plenty of time to start building upon like local political foundations that they've built in Great Yarmouth. Speaking of which, again, as I've mentioned, local elections were held very recently in the UK, and I had no idea about that. Like, I'm basically almost completely ignorant over British politics, especially when it comes to like local politics. I have no input whatsoever, basically. But they've got a foundation in Great Yarmouth now. But anyways, I mean, local elections were held, and Great Yarmouth First, candidates affiliated under Restore and rupertlowe, won every single seat they ran for, all in Great Yarmouth. And not only did they unanimously win, but they beat Reform at their own game, and emphatically so. They won all 10 local seats that they ran for, 10 candidates, 10 wins. And who knows, maybe in the faraway future, our descendants, sifting through the rubble, they'll find ancient electoral pamphlets, and they'll remember them as like gospel disciples, these first 10. This was like where everything started to change, and Great Yarmouth will be like the new Holy Land, from whence the seeds of hope sprung anew, and Britain was made fertile for the first time with anti-immigrant sentiment, and the tide is turned. But I digress. Back to the present. The titular Great Yarmouth First Party won in Great Yarmouth. So Restore have effectively announced themselves properly on the British political scene as a vibrant, relevant, and highly effective political party. Basically Restore with an organic social media dynamism with significant momentum going forwards now. And who knows how far this can go. But Restore now have a viable local voice in Great Yarmouth. rupertlowe now has a strong political foundation. Now that he has local councillors batting for him, it gives him a political foundation for elevating Great Yarmouth into a local borough that puts its own people first and potentially serve as a bellwether, a blueprint for the rest of the country. If Great Yarmouth grows, the quality of life for locals improve, the Great Yarmouthians, as they were, are they're put first over the minority concerns of immigrants, then, it's like that meme where you've got a young couple and they're hand in hand walking past an attractive young thing, and the guy looks back at her and his girlfriend looks jealously at him, but superimpose the guy's face with just the UK and the girlfriend's face with every mainstream political party and politician, fake journo. And well, even Nigel Farage, to be honest. I mean, Restore will become the envy of every major political party. including reform. I mean, Nigel Farage, who I just mentioned there, he likes to present himself as a man of the people, but it's no secret that he does jealously guard his own image, like any upstart challenger. He hates that, and he's ruthless with them. I mean, as he was to Rupert Lowe. I mean, didn't Farage get him in trouble recently over like fake bullying allegations with like Zaya Yusuf, I think, over his admittedly weak stance on immigration, which, like, given his ethnicity, should just like be of no surprise. Nigel Farage does not like pretenders coming to take his crown. He reacts worse than a scorned mistress, like, all the time. And also, this thing with Great Yarmouth First, it really is egg on the face of reform. It hurts them more than it does the major dinosaur political parties, ultimately, because it's a challenge to the ego of Farage directly. It's a challenge to the watered down, weak anti-immigrant policies of reform. And, they should be taking a hardline stance on the subject, but instead they invite mainstream politicians to just rebel and come over, like, to just join them. And all that you're left with is this husk of a party with a Frankenstein makeup of just useless career politicians, washed up losers that couldn't even make it in their own just dying parties. And it makes you think, what are reform doing? I mean, they're an electoral juggernaut, admittedly. They're the first opposition party, like, fully breaking into the mainstream, and they're seemingly squandering the opportunity. They're betraying their own voter base in favour of garnering the support of the chattering classes, people that fundamentally just hate them, and they're shamelessly pandering to them. I mean, what about representing the interests of just the British people? It's not hard to do. I mean, yes, I get that you may need to compromise a bit for political purposes, like, you can't just go all out right off the bat, but with Restore and Great Yarmouth First, you can see that just normal people react positively to a new party that takes a definitively hardline stance on immigration. Right? So why bother kowtowing to old dinosaur career politicians and journos whose opinions don't matter to just regular people anyway? I mean, you can just sweep them aside, as Restore have started to show, and really, as Reform kind of have by just winning loads of seat off them in the locals. So I think for a lot of people, Reform are a disappointment, but for anyone that understands Farage and his Machiavellian political manoeuvrings, you understand that Reform fundamentally care more about winning than they care about the interests of the British people. If they have to sacrifice one or the other to win, well then, goodbye Britain, ultimately. And that's the story of British politics now for at least the past quarter century. So, not to end on a downer too much, but with Reform, even if they're on track to win the general, they may need the help of Restore to win it anyway. I mean, who knows? Maybe you get a hung parliament. I'm not sure quite how the generals work, but they may need to ultimately just side with Restore to get enough seats and to win everything. And even if not, Restore clearly now hold the hearts, the spirit of Britain more now than Reform do. They may have been exposed, and I think, and whether they like it or not, they're going to have to entertain Restore and their merry motley crew of upstart Great Yarmouthians, because they more organically represent the view of the average person on the street. Or perhaps what ends up happening is that the House of Farage and his Clactonite brethren try to crush the Great Yarmouth Rebellion in a bloody battle of the ages, and they'll be catapulting fish and chips at them, and they'll have legions of seagulls swooping at them, pecking them to death. It doesn't even bear thinking about. And everything will be lost in a blizzard of feathers. Forever. So, on that solemn note, I'll end with the video. I'll see you in the next one, hopefully soon. Get myself back on track. I'll see you all later and try and enjoy the nice bank holiday weather. See you later.